existence is God's existence. The I am in you is God's knowledge of himself shining in your finite mind. But even your finite mind is not a separate, independently existing object. It is the activity of consciousness. There are no objects or selves or things or people or worlds or anything in infinite consciousness or in God's infinite self-aware being. The infinite can only know the infinite. The finite can only be known by the finite. If infinite consciousness, or in religious language, God's infinite being, wants to know something that seems to be other than itself or himself, consciousness has to, as it were, fall asleep to itself. It has to contract into a finite mind. And it is only through the agency of that apparently finite mind that consciousness knows itself as the world. But our finite minds are not objects in consciousness. They are the activities of consciousness. So no actual mind or self or object or world ever comes into existence. When you have a dream at night, your own mind imagines a world within itself, but it cannot know that world directly. Your mind has to fall asleep to itself and enter into its own imagination as a separate subject of experience from whose point of view the dreamed world may be known. But what is that separate subject of experience? It is not a separate mind. It is simply the activity of your dreaming mind. When you wake up in the morning, you realize that the world made out of matter and the separate subject of experience made out of mind that seemed to be so real from the point of view of the dreamed subject were in fact simply activities of your own unlimited, intimate, indivisible mind. So be open to the possibility that each of our minds are dreams in the mind of God's infinite being, in the mind of infinite consciousness. And that each of our minds are not the entities, but are rather the agencies, the activities through which God appears to itself as the world.
What I was trying to say through that system...
Can you use the mic so we can hear?
That God isn't complete without me if he wants to be perfect. So system cannot recognize himself by itself.
No, I've understood that, and I've responded to that. God's perfection doesn't require the knowledge of you.
Absolutely, but since I'm also part of God... So
you are not a part of God. There are no parts in God.
I'm talking in the sense that I belong to him.
Okay.
I am God.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm part of God, I automatically become God.
Okay.
So from that point of view, I was talking. So I was telling the same thing that for me also, I have been working because we have in India that which is Maya. So we don't know what exactly the truth is. So that is why we need to take that time and space as a reference to understand where I am right now, and through that we live kind of experiences. And of course we know that conscious is much more beyond than mind.
At a relative level, of course, we need to know about time and space in order to know where the body is located. But in order to know ourselves, we don't make any reference to time or space or objects or thoughts or relationships. In order to know ourselves, we must refer to ourselves. And the self that refers, the one who would refer to ourself, is already ourself. He knows himself by himself.
I agree.
So
I agree with it, and like I also tell that for me Jesus never said I am who I am. For me he said I am who am I, because like with I am there's lots of options. I am this. But
that's true. Moses made this comment in the Old Testament, I am that I am, and Ramana Maharshi made the same comment, even more economically. He just said, I, meaning I am only what I am.
Yeah.
But I think that the cartoon character Popeye said it even more accurately than either Jesus, Moses, or Ramana Maharshi. He said, I am what I am, and that's all that I am. I am simply what I am prior to its conditioning, and therefore its limiting by any of the qualities of experience.
Absolutely. And you know, one of the beautiful things, please allow me to share with you, in the symbol of cross, the horizontal part of cross represents when man used to walk like an animal on 4 legs. And the vertical part of cross is symbol of self, because standing straight and walking straight is a symbol of I. That's why the letter I in English is a straight line. And Y in Spanish means yo, has the same significance, but he has lifted 2 hands towards the heaven. And I and Y in Sheldon numerology has same numerical value, which is 1, which is the start, the beginning, or God, or the initiations.
Okay.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Very much.
Thank you.